We're going to bring in our panel now to give more perspective. Chrissy Newton is podcast host of Rebelliously Curious with Chrissy Newton, and Nick Pope, former UK Minister of Defense. Welcome to you both.
Thank you.
Hi.
Chrissy, I'm going to jump in there with you. You've been doing this for a while. What was your takeaway from today?
It was unbelievable. To be honest, it was really unbelievable. One of the things that I wanted people to focus on, and I'm glad they did, was talking about the for-profit companies that are working with the government and being able to have them, you know, be looked at and scrutinized a little bit about their work and the funding that's going in towards them. So it's nice to see that's happening. We also know that they can't be FOIA'd. So I think that's something that was really important that was brought up today. And I was happy to see it.
Because you want to know where those private dollars are going or coming from.
100%. I think we all do.
Yeah. Nick, what was your big takeaway? Because you were, I'm sure, like the rest of us, glued to everything that you're seeing for the first time.
Absolutely. This was a historic day. And if you had predicted last year that in these politically divided days, Republicans and Democrats would be coming together over this issue, and that you would hear the phrase non-human intelligence uttered on the floor of Congress, I think nobody would have believed you. But here we are. And it really is extraordinary times. And as was said earlier in the piece, Congress now has homework to do, because a lot of breadcrumbs were dropped today in terms of very specific things. You know, these are the programs. David Grush was adamant. He could name names, locations, etc. And Congress obviously now needs to follow that up.
We do have some sound from earlier from the hearing. I do want to play a soundbite, and we'll talk about it on the other side, Chris and Nikki.
Is it possible that these UAPs are testing for vulnerabilities in our current systems?
Yes.
Yes. Possible.
Do you feel, based off of your experience and the information that you've been privy to, that these UAPs provide an existential threat to the national security of the United States? Mr. Graves?
Potentially.
Yes, sir, potentially.
Same answer, potentially. Yeah, I'd say
Fravor.
Definitely, potentially.
Mr. Graves and Fravor, you know, in the event that your encounters had become hostile, would you have had the capability to defend yourself, your crew, your aircraft?
Absolutely not.
Sir?
No.
Is, based off of the information that you've been privy to, is there any indication that these UAPs are interested in our nuclear technology and capabilities?
Yes.
By external observation, sure, that could be a fair assessment, yeah. Yes.
Nick, Chrissy, you know, you hear this testimony. Would you be afraid, and should you fear? Would you be able to protect yourself? And you're hearing experienced people talk about, we're not sure, or they're not sure. And could it be possible that they're interested in our nuclear capabilities? So if this is indeed something coming from private industry, Chrissy, back to your point, it sounds like something we definitely need to know.
100% we need to know. Lou Elizondo has said before to the debrief, I've spoken to him, and he's told me that OSAP knew about this, knew about nuclear power plants, and anything like that had UAP attention towards it. And it's very scary. So we know that the government has known this. So now the conversation is, why are we not having this to a larger scale like we are now? But I think that's what we do next moving forward, because I do believe that, yeah, it is somewhat of a threat and it needs to be looked at.
Nick, even though we are talking about moving forward and getting more information, do you believe, though, in the interest of maybe national security, that there is some information that the government should hold back or focus on keeping shared only in the SCIF situation?
Yes, I think so. I mean, the law is very clear on this. The definitions of classified information, for example, say that top secret information is information the disclosure of which could cause catastrophic harm to the national interest of the United States. And if, for example, some of this relates to technology, and there's obviously a danger that that technology would get into the wrong hands, whether that's China or Russia or Iran or North Korea. So there are very good reasons for keeping some of this secret. So I think David Grush is loyal. He's a patriot, as are all of these people, and they want to do the right thing. They want to strike the balance between telling the American people what they have a right to know, but without telling the bad guys at the same time.
Nick, I'm glad you said say that because I, too, agree that I see Mr. Grush as a patriot and someone who had a lot to lose by fabricating a story. But I have to believe, too, that one of the bigger questions about this is credibility and whether or not people feel as though they can comfortably share this information and how much they should share. I have one more soundbite I want to play for the two of you, and we'll talk about it on the other side, talking about, in fact, people coming forward and sharing this information.
I recognize the skepticism surrounding this topic. If everyone could see the sensor and video data I witnessed, our national conversation would change. I urge us to put aside stigma and address the security and safety issue this topic represents. If UAP are foreign drones, it is an urgent national security problem. If it is something else, it is an issue for science. In either case, unidentified objects are concerned for flight safety. The American people deserve to know what is happening in our skies. It is long overdue.
And he talked about how people need to just share what they see and not exaggerate. And I think it could be part of the American condition, the human condition, to possibly embellish just a little bit, Chrissy. Instead of just saying that I saw the flash of light, oh my God, it was so bright that I had to swerve, and then it came back around, instead of just sticking to what you know. How much do you believe that also plays a part in how much they're willing to share and how much information is collected and believed?
Well, I think that some of it is collected and believed. We look in the past and we see that culture feedback loops are actually really predominant in the UAP story. You know, we know that somebody sees something, then we get entertainment, then hyper, expands it, and then somebody says they see something similar and they report back. So we know that's possible. It doesn't mean it doesn't exist, but we know that culture feedback loops play a big part in how we perceive UAP to ourselves and to others. But there are things that are happening. You know, we also look at the health concerns that are a really big issue that the government's not talking about right now, and it's something that we need to focus on. And we know that American government has that information in their database from Project Blue Book and you name it. So I think that's something that Ryan Graves and the rest of his team are really focusing on right now, and I appreciate that. And hopefully the government will look at that moving forward too.
And Chrissy Newton and Nick Pope, I appreciate you both for joining me this afternoon and helping me to break this all down. It was a big day, and I can believe that this is only the first time that we will talk, and it won't be the last. Thank you both.